If you are running a service-based company, you're probably focused on getting the next job, closing the next deal, and keeping the schedule full. But what if the real growth in your business isn't coming from new customers, but from the ones you already have? Well, today we're talking about a way to look at customers with a long-term perspective in mind and how it can change how you price, how you market, and how you operate your business. From retention strategies to service consistency and long-term profitability, this is one concept that separates struggling operators from truly scalable companies. And to dig into this topic, I'm pleased to welcome a regular guest, Jeff Carman with Elite BSC. Jeff, welcome to our program again.
Always good to have these conversations. Good to see you.
Agreed. Good to see you. Let's get into it. Tell us about how you look at the term customer lifetime value. And I noticed when you sent me some notes, you capitalized those three words. There's a reason for that.
Mhm.
And share what it means in practical terms for a cleaning business owner day to day.
So, customer lifetime value is really what your customer is worth to your customer over the entire relationship that you have with them. So, it kind of shifts your thinking from what is the monthly or what is the annual revenue to what is the relationship worth over time and what do I need to do operationally to maximize that value. So, for instance, just in real terms, let's say that you have a customer that's paying you $4,000 a month, and let's say, generally speaking, you're earning a 30% gross margin on that, and that customer stays with you for six and a half years. That's roughly $90,000 worth of gross profit. But then you have to look and say, what was the customer acquisition cost? Let's say it takes you about $5,000 to add a customer when you have all your acquisition costs. So really, the lifetime value of that customer is $85,000. So it really kind of takes all of the pieces together and says, if I'm investing in acquiring customers, what's the value that's going to come out the other end?
On the flip side, many owners are focused on getting the next job. So, how does thinking in terms of lifetime value change the way they should approach sales and marketing?
So when you think about lifetime value, you start to care a lot more about the customers that you take on and then how long you can keep them. And so let's talk marketing and sales. So from a marketing standpoint, what we're really focused on is the quality of the lead rather than the quantity of leads. And so when we look at our messaging, if we look at our lead generation efforts, all of those kinds of things, the focus really needs to be on, hey, I want to find customers that I believe can create the longest or the best customer lifetime value for us. And then from a sales side, it's understanding in the sales process and over the lifetime of our company is when do we add sales staff? And then what's the expectation and what are the markers that we want to make from from our sales effort? So a lot of times we judge salespeople on what they can bring in year over year, but we're really a lot of sales is bringing in annual recurring revenue. So that lifetime value kind of adds some flavor to that as well.
I think if we're honest here, mistakes and slip-ups happen. So, talk about this. What are some of those common mistakes that cleaning companies make that hurt long-term customer value before, and they don't even realize it's happening?
Yeah, so it's kind of two fronts on this. On the front, on one end, it's the front end stuff. It's the sales and marketing. It's bringing on customers who are more likely to not stay with us for a long time. And so these are people that are these are customers that are very price sensitive. And so if we're pursuing a lot of price sensitive customers, we've got acquisition costs, we've got salespeople, or we've got marketing dollars, we've got a website, all of those things. And if we've got customers that will change vendors over a few dollars, then that's a mistake that I think some of us can make is looking up is not considering that. So that's on the front end. On the back end is a retention is having a good plan for what happens in those first 90 days. We can solidify that or strengthen that relationship on the front end. And then what plan do we have in place, operational plan to create consistent service, react to issues when they come up, and then be proactive. And then in that proactivity piece, but one of the things that doesn't happen sometimes is we don't think about, hey, how can we proactively suggest additional services that add more revenue, that adds more lifetime value to the customer. And so those are the kinds of things that I see in terms of mistakes in understanding this long-term relationship or long-term value that we have with our customers.
How should customer lifetime value influence pricing? Maybe you could talk about other situations where it makes sense to spend more or horrible thought, lose money on the first job.
Yeah, that's right. So pricing becomes less about winning the job today and about the total value of the relationship over time. So value considers how much it costs to acquire the customer. So we have to consider that. And so then that rolls into what's the size of the account, how likely is it that we can have additional services added onto this, maybe expand into other customer sites that this one customer has, maybe they have multiple sites. And then also this idea of what kind of confidence do we have that this customer we're going to be able to extend the relationship beyond the initial term. So those are things. So I would say this, if it's risky and small, I'm probably going to mark that deal up pretty high because I'm not going to be able to extract a lot of value. But if it's kind of the right size customer that we feel confident doing business with, that looks like there's some good additional services opportunities there, we may lower our markup quite a bit in order to get our foot in the door, establish that relationship because it's going to provide a lot of long-term value.
That sounds like a good strategy. Last question. What are some simple, actionable ways a cleaning business can increase the lifetime value of their customers starting right now? Wrap it up for us with that thought.
Yeah. So the first place is I would look at my prospect list. I mean, it's on the front end. We beat this drum a lot. Develop an ideal customer profile, narrow your list, and look to find clients that are going to fit that, or that look like customers that you could retain for some time. So that's the front end side. That's one thing you can do right now. And then also, as a company, your leadership, or if you're just the owner, do it. Think about what it's going to take to extend the life of that customer for a longer period than the initial contract. So this talks about all of those things I just mentioned. Let's have a good 30, 60, 90-day startup plan. Let's have a good plan for how many site visits, customer visits that we're going to take. What is it? All of that, kind of our service plan, tighten that up so you can keep customers for a longer period.